Hi, I'm Matt Clark. I'm a producer based in LA and the guitarist in Freak House. Welcome to Heavy Metal Guitar Volume 3. Just you watching this DVD tells me you're serious about learning to master metal guitar. On Volume 1 and 2, we laid the foundation of metal guitar technique. Now it's time to take your playing to the next level and turn you into a metal monster. There's a lot of information out in the world these days about how to play. It can be overwhelming. It's hard to know who you should listen to and what you should learn. That's exactly why I've made this series of DVDs focus on the essential skills you need to learn to play like a pro. So grab your guitar and let's dive in. My guitar is tuned standard, which means it's E, A, D, G, B, and E. That's from the lowest string to the highest, thinnest string. Let's go through the strings one at a time so that you can tune to me. This is the lowest string, E. This is the fifth string, A. This is the fourth string, D. This is the third string, G. This is the second string, B. And this is the high string, E. Let's start off with some left-hand warm-up exercises. These are going to get your fingers going and ready to rock. I demonstrated this chromatic warm-up exercise on my second DVD. It goes like this. So I'm just going 5, 6, 7, 8, 5, 6, 7, 8, 5, 6, 7, 8, 5, 6, 7, 8, 5, 6, 7, 8, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then I'm reversing that, all with alternate picking. So on the way down, 8, 7, 6, 5, 8, 7, 6, 5, that type of thing. So what this exercise does is it takes that same pattern, but it crawls it up the neck one step at a time. I'll show you what I mean by that. We're going to start on the second note, which is the 6th fret on the low E string with the middle finger, and we're going to go 6, 5. So we're going, and then the next pattern would be 7, 6. So, and then to 8, 7. So thus far we've got. And then you're going to switch to the next string and play the first note in that pattern, which is the 5th fret on the A string. And you're going to go from the 5th fret to the 8th fret on the low E string. So you've got. So let me play the whole thing and with repeating those patterns, and you'll get a better idea of what this is about. So basically on every string, I'm going 6, 5, 7, 6, 8, 7, and then when I switch to the next higher string, I'm going 5 and back to the 8th fret on the string below it. And all this is with alternate picking. And when I come back down, as we ended this, I went 5, 6, 7, 6, 8, 7, and then I'm going to come back down and go 7, 8, 6, 7, 5, 6. So I'm going, and then down to the 8th fret on the next lowest string, and back to the 5th fret on the string we were just on. So you've got, so together that sounds like this. And then you're just continuing on with that same pattern down the string. So you're going 7, 8, 6, 7, 5, 6. Again on the B string. That's the second string. And then 8, 5 to switch strings. So you've got. So together on the way down, it sounds like this. So that's a great warm-up exercise, and you can apply it across the different frets. So for example, you can do it there at the 5th fret, but you could also start on the 1st fret going that type of thing, and you could run through it up and down all the way to the 12th fret. This exercise is called the spider. It's not the easiest exercise in the world, so don't be discouraged if you don't get it at first. We're going to start here on the 5th fret, and we're using the chromatic pattern that I've shown you before, just the 5, 6, 7, 8. But the difference is you're going to leave your fingers planted as you play the last note. So what I mean by that is you'll play the 5th fret, and then you'll play the 6th fret, but notice the 5th fret finger stays down, it stays planted there at that fret. So you're going to go up and continue the pattern and leave your fingers planted. So then you're going to play the 7th fret. Notice how the fingers, 2 fingers before are still planted on the strings, and then finally the 8th fret. So you get kind of a spider leg kind of thing going on, this nice curvature of your fingers, which is going to help your posture a lot. So that is can be hard enough, but the real hard part is you're going to leave your fingers planted when you change strings. So you'll move your index finger to the A string and go to the 5th fret while still leaving these 3 fingers planted on the E string. So thus far we've got this. I'm going to play this slowly for you. It goes. And then you're going to continue from there. You're going to play the 6th fret on the A string, the 7th fret, and then the 8th fret. But remember to leave your fingers planted. So you've got 6th fret, 7th fret, and 8th fret. And all this is with down and up picking. But really, this exercise is about your left hand. It's about the posture, and it's going to help your strength. So we're going to just continue on through the strings with that same kind of form. So we'll go to the D string, the 4th string, with the 5th fret, 6th, 7th, 8th, and on to the G string. Then the B string, and finally the E string. Now on the way down, the pattern is going to be this. You're going to start with your 1st finger again, and you're going to go down to the 5th fret on the B string. So we've got. So I just did 5, 6, 7, 8 in reverse, and then 5, 6, 7, 8 in reverse again onto the next string. So we've got 5, 6, 7, 8. And And that's the spider. This exercise is about building strength for hammer-ons and pull-offs. You're going to be using trills on every string. We're going to start off on the 6th fret of the low E string with your middle finger. And you're going to be trilling between your middle finger and your ring finger on the 7th fret. So middle finger on 6th fret, ring finger on 7th fret. So that's going to sound like this. Then you're going to be doing trills between the 5th and 6th, 6th and 7th, and 7th and 8th on the A string. So that'll sound like this. And with the index and middle finger, middle and ring and pinky, respectively. So that sounds like this. So thus far, we've got trills here on the low E string between the 6th and 7th fret, and then on the A string, 5 and 6, 6 and 7, and 7 and 8. Now you're going to repeat that same pattern of 6, 7, and then to 5, 6, 6, 7, 7, 8 on all the strings. So we'll go up to the D string, and you're going to do 6, 7 there. And then on the G string, you'll do the full pattern again. So you'll be going. And then finally on the B string, the 6th and 7th fret. And on the top E string, the full pattern. This is going to get your hands strong to do hammer-ons and pull-offs. Whether you're writing a song, learning someone else's song, or just jamming, it's important to know which chords are available to you. Specifically, which chords go with the key that you're in. So in this next section, we're going to look at just that. We're going to look at which chords go with the C major and its relative minor, A minor, scales. So let's get started. Let's start off by playing the C major scale. Sounds like this. So the notes in that scale are C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and the octave of C. So, to make a long story short, there's going to be 3 major chords, 3 minor chords, and a diminished 7th chord. So, let's start with the C note. The C note will be major, the major chord. So, that sounds like this. The D note will be minor. Will sound like this. The E note, or that will be minor as well. The F note, so let's go up the scale again. C, D, E, F. The F note will be major. Then the next note in the scale will be C, D, E, F, G. So the G, and I'm going to drop down an octave here to this G. The G will be major as well. The A, so we've got C, D, E, F, G, A. The A is going to be minor, like the minor A minor scale. And then the B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B. The B is going to be a new chord, a diminished 7th. That's going to sound like this. And let's take a look at that chord real quick. What I'm doing here is I'm playing the 7th fret with my index finger on the low E string, the 8th fret on the A string with my middle finger, the 9th fret with my ring finger on the D string, that's the 4th string, and then I'm barring these top 3 strings on the 10th fret. So together you've got... This isn't a chord I use very much in metal, to be honest with you. So let's take a look at how these chords are constructed and exactly why they go with that scale. So let's start with C. What we're doing here is we're gonna look at the very first note on C, which is a C. And then we're gonna take the third and the fifth note. So the third note would be, 1 would be C, 2 would be D, 3 will be E. So you've got C and E. And then the fifth note would be E, F, G. So C, E, and G. Those are the three notes that comprise the chord that we need here. Now, if you look at what's going on, you'll notice that a C and then a G here on the 10th fret of the A string, and then you'll have another C note in the octave here, and then here you'll have the E on the 9th fret of the 3rd string. So thus far we've managed to throw in all three of the notes we needed. Then these two notes are going to be the G and the C again. So we've got C, E, and G. And those three notes happen to make up a C major chord. So you've got... Well, that same logic goes for every chord in that scale. So if we take D, for example, if you took D and played the notes right out of that C major scale, just D, E, F, yeah, on the 8th fret. If you took that note, the F would be the 3rd note, and then the 5th note would be F, G, A. So D, F, and A are the three notes in that chord. And those three notes make up a D minor chord, which sounds like this. So that same logic goes for each chord. You're just picking out the 1, 3, and 5 to spell out the chord you need. Being able to solo in key up and down the neck is a critical soloing skill. On the last DVD, we covered the pentatonic scale. On this DVD, I'd like to show you the A minor scale the exact same way, up and down the neck. We'll start off by going through every A on the neck, and then I'll show you some tips and tricks so that you can be soloing in key across the neck in no time. This is where all the A notes are all across the neck. This is great to know because you can instantly go to these places and play an A minor scale or an A pentatonic scale, for example. So let's start on the low E string. You've got your 5th fret, that's an A, and then your 17th fret, that's also an A. Now let's go to the A string, open is an A, and then the 12th fret is an A as well. Then you've got the 7th fret on the D string, or the 4th string, that's an A. And the 19th fret is an A. Then we're going to go to the 2nd fret of the G string, or 3rd string, is an A. And the 14th fret is an A. On the B string, you can play the 10th fret and the 22nd. And finally, on the high E string, you've got the 5th fret and the 17th fret. On my second DVD, I showed you how to play an A minor scale at the 5th fret. Let's go over that really quick, just to refresh. Sounds like this. So that's just a 1 octave A minor scale. I'm going 5, 7, 8 on the low E string, 5, 7, 8 on the A string, and 5, 7 on the D string. So let's take that pattern and take each string on the guitar and play it as many places as that we can around the neck, so I can show you how this pattern just repeats. So we did that at the 5th fret. So now let's take that up an octave. We're going to play it at the 17th fret on the low E string. So I'm just going 17, 19, 20, 17, 19, 20, and 17, 19. So now let's play that on the open A string, or the 5th string. That'll be your next A, and we'll go like this. So I'm going open, 2, 3, open, 2, 3 on the D string, and then open and 2 on the G string, or 3rd string. So now let's take that and move it up an octave. So we're going to be at the 12th fret on the A string. So that one sounds like this. So I'm going 12, 14, 15, 12, 14, 15, and 12, 14. Again, it's that same kind of pattern that if you count your fingers, it's 1, 3, 4, 1, 3, 4, 1, 3. So now let's go to the 4th string. We're going to go to the 7th fret on the 4th string, which is, you can see that it's just the octave of that A on the low E string. 2 frets up, 2 strings up. And we're going to do the exact same pattern with one little difference. We're going to compensate for this B string. So it'll sound like this. So I just went 7, 9, 10 on the D string, 7, 9, 10 on the G string, and 8, 10 on the B string. That's compensating for the different tuning on that B string. So now let's move that pattern up an octave. So we're going to go up here to the 19th fret. Sounds like this. So I'm going 19, 21, 22, 19, 21, 22, and 20, 22. Now let's go to the 3rd string, and we're going to start here on the 2nd fret, and we're going to go 2, 4, 5, 3, 5, 6, 3, 5. So that sounds like this. And then we're going to move that up an octave. So we're going up to the 14th fret. So I'm going 14, 16, 17 on the G string, or 3rd string. 15, 17, 18 on the B string, or 2nd string. And then finally 15, 17 on the high E string. And then finally on the 2nd string, we're going to go to the 10th fret. That's an A. And we're going to go 10, 12, 13. 10, 12, 13 again. And then we're going to do a position shift and go up to 15, 17. So again, that sounds like this. Generally speaking, the first pattern starts with your index finger. This second pattern is going to start usually with your pinky. Sounds like this. So what I'm doing there is I'm starting on the 5th fret of the low E string with my pinky, then I'm playing 2, 3, 5 on the A string, or 5th string, and then 2, 3, 5 on the D string, and finally I'm playing the 2nd fret, the octave A, on the G string. Again, it sounds like this. So let's take that pattern and move it around the neck. To start, let's move it up an octave. So I'm going 17, 14, 17 on the low E string, and then 14, 15, 17 on the A string, 14, 15, 17 on the D string, and finally 14 on the G string. Again, it sounds like this. Okay, so now let's move the same pattern to the A string. So we're going to start with the 12th fret. Sounds like this. So you're going to start with your pinky on the 12th fret of the A string. Then you're going to play 9, 10, 12 on the D string, 9, 10, 12 on the G string, and finally the 10th fret on the B string or 2nd string. So now let's move to the 4th string, the D string. We're going to go to the 7th fret, that A, and we're going to play this. You probably recognize that as being the 2nd octave of the original A minor scale we learned. In other words, that one's pretty easy to remember. So we've got 7th fret on the D string, 4th fret on the G string, 5th fret, 7th fret on the G string, and then 5, 6, 8 on the B string, and finally the 5th fret on the E string. Again, sounds like this. And then we'll move that up an octave. Sounds like this. So I'm going 19 on the D string, and then 16, 17, 19 on the G string or 3rd string, 17, 18, 20 on the B string or 2nd string, and then finally the 17th fret on the high E string. Again, sounds like this. Now we're going to go to the 3rd string. We're going to start on the 2nd fret. Sounds like this. So what I'm doing there is I'm playing the 2nd fret on the G string, the open string, the open B string, excuse me, the 1st fret, 3rd fret on the B string. So we've got, so it's 2, and then open 1, 3 on that B string, and then finally you're going to play the open E string, and then the 1st, 3rd, and 5th frets on the top string. So you're going, so all together sounds like this. And then I'm going to move that same pattern up an octave, which sounds like this. So what I'm doing there is I'm playing 14 on the G string or 3rd string. Then I'm playing 12, 13, 15 on the B string. 12, 13, 15 on the high E string. And then finally sliding up to the 17th fret on the high E string. Then we're going to go to the 2nd string. We're going to start on the 10th fret, that A. We're going to play with the pinky. We're going to go. So I'm going 10th fret on the B string, excuse me, 2nd string, and then I'm going 7, 8, 10 on the high E string, and then I'm doing a position shift, and I'm going up to 12, 13, 15 on the high E string, and then finally the 17th fret on the high E string. So all together it sounds like this. Let's take a look at the A minor scale linearly. In other words, vertically up and down the neck instead of horizontally as we've been doing in a box. So let's start with the low E string. Sounds like this. So what I'm doing there is I'm playing the 5th fret, 7th fret, 8th fret, then the 10th fret, 12th fret, 13th fret, and finally the 15th and 17th fret. Notice I'm shifting positions with each 3 notes. So 5, 7, 8, then 10, 12, 13, and finally shifting positions again to 15, 17. So now let's look at the A string. We're going to start with the open A string. Sounds like this. what I'm doing there is I'm playing the A string open, 2nd fret, 3rd fret, then I'm shifting positions to 5, 7, 8, shifting positions again to 10 and 12. So that's the octave. So we've got then I'm going 12, 14, 15, shifting positions to 17, 19, and then finally playing 22 and 19 on the D string. I'm doing that so that we can complete the scale. If you have 24 frets on your neck, you could go up to that 24 fret A on your A string. This guitar only has 22 frets, so I can't do that. So now let's move on to the D string or 4th string. We're going to start with the 7th fret A. It sounds like this. So I'm going 7, 9, 10, shifting positions and to 12, 14, 15, and then finally completing the scale with 17, 19. Again, sounds like this. So now let's move to the 3rd string or G string. We're going to start with the 2nd fret A. Sounds like this. So I'm going 2nd fret, 4th fret, 5th fret. Then I'm going 7th fret, 9th fret, 10th fret. And finally 12th fret, 14th fret. So that's the 1st octave. That sounds like this. Then for the 2nd octave, I'm going 14, 16, 17. And then 19, 21, 22. And finally, on the B string, I'm playing the 20th fret and 22nd fret. Okay, so now let's move on to the 2nd string or B string. We're going to start there on the 10th fret, that A. And we're going to play 10, 12, 13, 15, 17, and 18. So that's where we've got. And then we'll complete the scale by playing 20, 22. So the whole thing sounds like this. And then finally we're going to go to the high E string, which is the exact same as the pattern that we did on the low E string. Let's play it again. Sounds like this. So again, I'm going 5, 7, 8, 10, 12, 13, and 15, 17. Shifting positions on each group of 3. A great way to practice these linear scales is to play a repeating note on each one of the notes. So for example, if we took the high E string, I could do tremolo picking and play. Or faster. It's a good little practice technique for remembering those. It makes you stick on each note longer to drill that into your head. In this next section, we're going to cover a variety of new techniques, including double stop bends, pick slides, artificial and natural harmonics, and more. So let's get started. This technique is called a double stop bend. It sounds like this. What I'm doing is I'm fretting a note on one string, and on the string below it, I'm bending a note to be the same pitch as the first string. So in other words, I'm playing an E on the second string here with my index finger. That's the second string. Second string, 5th fret. And I'm playing a D on the 7th fret of the G string, the 3rd string. But I'm bending that D up so that it becomes an E. It's a whole step bend. So it's going to be in tune with this E. So we've got E, and when this gets bent, it's an E as well. So when you're playing both strings together, you have two notes that are going to be slightly out of tune with each other. It creates a really nice, fat rock and roll sound. And if you add some vibrato to that lower note, it's gonna even make it sound more dynamic. And another thing I want to mention is I'm using my middle finger to back up or reinforce that ring finger with that bend, so it gives me more strength. So I've got, now you can go into those double stop bends slowly if you want, and you can even make it sound more dramatic. So, or you can even play one note against each other. So you can play, say, the bottom note and then the top note. These are great for creating chord solos, which is just playing groups of these different double stops to create a short phrase. So for example, if I played the 5th, 8th, and 12th fret, and by that I mean with my index finger on the second string, that could be the beginnings of a nice little solo section. So you have something like that. Now, generally speaking, double stops you're going to play, like I said, 2 frets away between that second and third string. Now, if you're doing it between the first and second string, because of the tuning difference, you're going to go 3 frets. So with those, the way that I like to play them is if I'm playing, for example, the 5th fret on the high E string with my index finger, I like to play that 8th fret with my ring finger, just because I have more strength in that finger, and then I back that up with my middle finger. So that sounds like this. So there I'm just alternating between those two notes. I'm just alternating between the two strings. Now, this is also a great way to practice the tuning of your bends. So, for example, if we took those notes that we were just working on and we played that A on that high E string, that's the 5th fret, you can bend that 8th fret on the second string and really listen hard and practice getting those two notes really in tune with each other. So if you've got A, and then you're bending to an A as well. And then you can alternate playing between the two strings and listen to the tuning. So you've got, it should be the exact same note. And there shouldn't be any beats between them either. And by beats, what I mean is like little flams or little differences in the notes. There'll be like a little hiccup sound you'll hear if they're not quite in tune. So that's a double stop bend. These are great for rock and metal solos, and they take a little practice, especially to get in tune just right, but I think you're going to love playing these. This technique is called a pick slide or pick scrape. It sounds like this. What I'm doing there is I'm taking the pick and I'm actually moving it to the side a little bit. I'm kicking it up with my middle finger so that instead of it being like this, how it would normally be between my thumb and my first finger, I'm actually getting it to where it's more like that, so that the tip of the pick is pointed more toward the ground. And I'm angling the pick back, so that, in other words, so that the face of the pick points this way, not down like that. So it's more up in the air, and so I'm picking against the string, or excuse me, scraping against the string. Now when I'm doing that, I'm generally using the bottom 3 or 2 or even just 1 wound strings. And the reason is because the little grooves in there are what's causing that scrape to sound. It doesn't work as well on the top strings. Now you can get effects out of doing a scrape with that top string, but for that grindy kind of sound, you really want to use the wound strings, the bottom 3 strings. So again, you can do something that sounds shorter, like this, just where it's a quick thing. A lot of times live, I'll throw in a quick pick scrape like this, that kind of thing. So if you're, sometimes it can be a great little transition between parts, or it can be a real long drawn out kind of thing. A great example is Mick Mars in Motley Crue's "Shout at the Devil." At the beginning of that song, he uses a really long drawn out pick scrape. Something like this. He'll go. Just nice and slow and grindy. Like I said, you can also do stuff with the top strings, like get them to kind of chirp a little bit. You can actually bounce your pick on the strings a little bit and get an effect that way going. And all I'm doing is just bouncing my pick off those top 3 strings. Those are the highest strings, not the wound ones. A lot of times people will do a thing where they go from, they start a slide on those top strings with just more of a harmonic-y sound, and it evolves into an actual scrape on the bottom 3 strings, like that. And that's a pick scrape. Something that you should be aware of, whether you're writing your own song or learning a cover song, is the difference between up and down picking in a riff. Especially in metal, this can make a big difference to the sound of a riff. For example, Metallica uses a lot of downstrokes. So if you're playing just a basic E chord, an E power chord, it sounds one way if you were to use muted up and down strokes. In other words, like this. And it sounds slightly different, but heavier if you use all palm muted downstrokes like this. It just has a more aggressive sound. So listen to riffs and see if you can pick up on that downstroke, upstroke difference. And try using both techniques in your songwriting to see which really fits your style the best. In this next section, I'm going to be showing you natural or open harmonics. They sound like this. So they have a real chimey sound to them. And I'm sure you've heard them in a lot of songs. Guitar players use these a lot. So what I'm doing here is I'm placing my finger on above the fret wire. and I'm not actually pressing down on the string or not holding it down to the fretboard. I'm just barely touching the string. And this causes a harmonic to jump out. And a harmonic is just a different higher note usually than what you're striking. So let's go over, first of all, the technique of how to play them, which is I'm going to just barely put my finger above that 5th fret, for example, on the low E string. And that one should sound like this. If you're pressing too hard, you're going to get a sound more like this. So you don't want to actually fret the note. You just want to barely touch the string and strike it with the pick, obviously. So that may take some practice for you, but let me show you which locations that you can play these open harmonics at. You can play them on any of the strings at the 5th fret, the 7th fret, the 12th fret. Those are the primarily the ones that I like to use. There's other locations. I'm not going to get into each and every one of them, but I'd like to cover these. Like I said, the 5th fret, 7th fret, and 12th fret. Now, when you hit the 5th fret harmonic, what you're playing is actually the note that is the open string that you're using. So, for example, if I play the 5th fret on the low E string, that's an E note, an octave, excuse me, 2 octaves above. So we've got that E up there is 2 octaves above this E. So when you're hitting that 5th fret, that's what you're getting, 2 octaves above of the open string. And the same goes for all the other strings. If I hit the 5th fret at the A string, I'm getting 2 octaves above that A. So instead of A here, when I hit the 5th fret, it's 2 octaves above the A. Or this note. And the same goes for all the other strings. The D string, when you hit the 5th fret, 2 octaves up on a D. Same for the G string, the B string, and the high E string. Now, when I'm playing the 7th fret on any of the strings, excuse me, that note is going to be the note that's below it, an octave up. So, for example, if I'm hitting the 7th fret on the low E string, that note below it is a B. So it's a B 2 octaves up. So you've got same note as this. And that goes the same for all of the strings. So you've got the A string on the 7th fret, that's an E. The D string is an A. The G string on the 7th fret would be a D. The B string on the 7th fret would be a C. And excuse me, it'd be an F sharp. And the high E string on the 7th fret would be a B as well. Then if we move on to the 12th fret, those notes are going to be the exact same notes that are under them. So in other words, if you play a 12th fret E on the low E string, that would sound the same as the fretted note below it. So just with a little bit more chimey sound to it. And same on all those strings. So if I play the A, it's an A note. D is a D note. G is a G note. B is a B. And the high E is an E as well. Now, interestingly enough, if you look at some of these harmonics, for example, if you play the 7th fret on the A string, that's going to be an E. Well, the same exact E note will be on the 5th fret of the low E string. That's an E as well. So these notes are the same. And same goes for the D string and the A string. Both of those notes are A's. And it goes through a number of the strings like that. It's a little different when you get up to the B string. That note's not going to be the same. So if you play, those aren't going to be the same. You can make up a lot of cool patterns with these natural harmonics. And if you start listening a little bit more closely to some of your favorite recordings, I think you're going to hear that guitar players like to use these a lot. This next technique I want to show you is called a pick harmonic, or squeal. Zakk Wylde has really popularized this technique, and a lot of people think that it's synonymous with his name. It sounds like this. Something like that. What it is that I'm using my thumb to strike a string and make a harmonic jump out. So what's happening is the pick hits the string, and then immediately after that, my thumb catches the string. So sounds like this. And what I'm doing there is, if you can see my pick, it's just hitting the string, and then immediately after that, the thumb is popping onto the string. Now, when I do that, I'm pretty much putting my pick at a 45-degree angle. In other words, it's going from down to the floor that way, toward the headstock, back, and up. That allows me to hit that string at just the right angle to make that harmonic pop out. And harmonics can be found at different points along the string. So if you're playing the 7th fret, for example, on the 3rd string, I can make harmonics pop out at various points, probably 5 points, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, something along those lines. And really it's a matter of you experimenting, going up and down that string, picking, to find those pick harmonics. This isn't an easy technique, and it's probably not something that you'll nail your first time. Maybe not even your first day or your first couple of days. It usually takes a lot of experimentation before most students are able to get a grasp of this. So, for example, I'm just going to hunt around this string, and you can kind of see what I mean as far as how different harmonics are going to jump out. Now, if you bend that string, I've found that can help the harmonics jump out even more, because you're going to be moving this string, maybe giving it some vibrato, and that adds to the pressure of the pick hitting the string. It's going to make it easier for it to jump out and easier for you to find it usually. So if you want to try bending that 7th fret on the 3rd string, that can be a great way to find these as well, especially when you're first starting. So the easiest ones I've found for a lot of students to find are right behind this bridge pickup, or excuse me, this neck pickup. So just on this side of that neck pickup, and also on the other side of it, just above that pickup. So, excuse me, right above that pickup is a great place to look. And then moving it back. So that's on the 3rd string. For example, you can go down here to the 3rd fret on the low E string. A lot of times, like Zach will play harmonics down in this area. So again, I'm hitting it right there. It's the pick and then the thumb. That's going to be the hard part, is just getting that motion just right to where it hits that pick and then it hits the thumb. It takes a lot of experimentation usually for most people to figure out exactly how to do it. And I can't really tell you more than that. Just experiment with it. In the bonus section, I'll add a special section where you can see close up my right hand from various angles so that you can really see what I'm doing with this pick harmonic technique. This next technique is called a dive bomb. Sounds like this. I'm doing that on the low E string, but you could do it on any of the strings, or with harmonics, pinched, or natural harmonics. For example, here's with a natural harmonic. I'm doing that at the 5th fret of the 3rd string. I'm hitting that harmonic and then using the bar to dive. I'm pushing down and it's making the pitch go down. So in other words, likewise, you can take a pitch, and if you've got a floating bridge, in other words, the guitar neck is routed out like this guitar is, and you can actually pull up on the bar, you can pull pitches up. So, for example, I could take that same note and pull up. This guitar has a Floyd Rose licensed bridge and locking nut. That helps it stay in tune when you're doing whammy bar antics. So, basically that's all there is to it. You're just pushing down the bar. Now for me, I like to add a little dip before I do a dive bomb. So I'm hitting this low string, for example, and instead of just going, I give it a little shake to where as I'm hitting it, as I'm picking it, I've already depressed the bar a little bit. So I'm going, I do a little flutter with my hand. That kind of thing. Even if it's really fast and subtle, I pretty much always do that. It just gives it some vibrato instead of being such a straight note from the get-go. Okay, it's time to have some fun. Let's take a look at some rock and metal licks here. We're going to look at open string licks, chromatic licks, some tapping, and more. So let's get started. Let's take a look at an open string lick. It sounds like this. So what I'm doing here is I'm playing the shape of the A pentatonic minor scale. I'm descending it 3 strings at a time. So I'm going the E string, the B string, and the G string, and then I'm moving to the B string, the G string, and the D string, that kind of thing. So we're starting off on the 8th fret of the high E string, and we're pulling off from the 8th fret to the 5th fret to the open string. So we've got, and then we're moving down to the B string, the 2nd string, and we're doing the same pattern, 8, 5, open again. And then we're playing 7, 5, open on the G string. So thus far we've got. Then we're going to go to the 2nd string, and we're going to be playing 3 strings again. So we're going to be going 8, 5, open, 7, 5, open again on the G string, and then 7, 5, open on the D string. Then we're going to be going to the 3rd string, the G string, and we're going to be doing 3 strings again. So we'll be going 7, 5, 0 on the G string, 7, 5, 0 on the D string, 7, 5, 0 on the A string. And then finally, we'll be going to the D string or 4th string. We'll be playing 7-5-0. That's with pull-offs. 7-5-0 again with pull-offs on the A string. And then finally on the low E string, I'm playing the 8th fret and the 5th fret. So slowly, it sounds like this. And then more up to speed. Here's a linear lick that to me sounds like something Eddie Van Halen would play. So what I'm doing there is I'm going straight up an A minor scale. I'm playing 5, 7, 8, 10, 12, 13, 15, and finally I'm bending up that note at the 15th fret, the G note, to an A. And I'm tremolo picking each one of these. So I've got 5, 7, 8, 10, 12, 13, 15, and then bending that last note. So again, slowly, it sounds like this. With a bend and vibrato on the end. Here's another linear lick. This one is pattern based. Sounds like this. So what I'm doing there is I'm going through each note of the scale, playing 3 notes, and then I'm moving to the next note and playing the next 3 notes in the scale. So what I mean by that is I'm starting off on 5, 7, 8. Then I'm moving up to the 7th fret and I'm playing 7, 8, 10. So just 3 notes and moving to the next pattern. So we're going 5, 7, 8, 7, 8, 10, 8, 10, 12, 10, 12, 13, 12, 13, 15, 13, 15, 17, 15, 17, 19, and finally I'm ending with a bend on the 15th fret with some vibrato. So slowly it sounds like this. Notice I'm using strict up and down picking. Here's another linear lick. This one is pattern based using descending pull-offs on the high E string. Sounds like this. So what I'm doing here is I'm playing the 20th fret, 19th fret, and 17th fret on the high E string as pull-offs. And then I'm just moving down 1 note and playing the next 3 notes down in the scale. What I mean by that is I'm playing 20, 19, 17, and then I'm playing 19, 17, 15. Then I'm playing 17, 15, 13, 15, 13, 12, 13, 12, 10, 12, 10, 8, 10, 8, 7, 8, 7, 5. That's all with pull-offs. So slowly, that sounds like this. And then I'm playing the 8th fret on the B string, and again with a bend and vibrato. And I'm going into that slowly, so it sounds like this. So the whole thing, slowly. here's a chromatic lick that to my ear sounds like Ace Frehley or Randy Rhoads could have played it. It sounds like this. So what I'm doing here is I'm playing the exact same pattern over and over, but I'm just moving it up 1/2 step or 1 fret every time I play it. So here's the phrase. I'm starting off bending the 7th fret on the G string, the 3rd string, which sounds like this. And then I'm barring the 5th fret on the 2nd string and the top string. And it sounds like this. So together you've got... And then I'm pulling off from the 8th fret to the 5th fret. That's pinky to index. So that phrase sounds like this. Then I'm just repeating that phrase, moving it up 1 fret per time of the pattern. So you've got... So I've gotten up to the 14th fret with my ring finger, and then I'm going to add the 15th fret on the 2nd string, and I'm going to bend that with some vibrato. So you've got... So slowly, again, it sounds like this. There, I played the 15th fret, and then again with the bend. This next lick involves a technique called tapping. What that means is using your right hand to hammer on to the strings. So I'm going to be using my right hand index finger to hammer on to a fret. So we're going to start with the 5th fret, and if you notice, I'm not using my pick at all right now. I'm fretting the 5th fret on the B string, the 2nd string, and I'm starting the string ringing by plucking it with my index finger on my right hand. So you've got this. Then I'm hammering on to the 8th fret with my pinky. So I've got... And then finally, I'm hammering on or tapping the 12th fret with my index finger. That sounds like this. So together, slowly, you've got this. Now if you repeat that, you get a very legato type of phrase. Sounds like this. Eddie Van Halen popularized this technique in the late 70s. Now, another thing that you can do with this is that you can add a slide to it. So, for example, you could go 5, 8, 12, and then you could slide after the tap, you could slide the tap note on the 12th fret, for example, up to the 15th fret, and then back to the 12th. That sounds like this. And then if you notice, I'm pulling back off to the 8th fret and 5th fret. So again. And then the regular one sounds like this. You can play those across all the strings. So for example, here's a lick that you could do by playing that 5, 8, 12 and playing it starting on the top string and moving it all the way down on each string. Next up, I want to show you a couple of new scales. The D Dorian scale and the E Phrygian scale. Now, the interesting thing about these two scales is that they're made up of exactly the same notes as the A minor scale or the C major scale. That would be A, B, C, D, E, F, G. The only difference is the note that you start on. So for example, on D Dorian, you'd be starting on D and playing to D. The cool thing about this is by knowing the exact same scale you knew before, you can all of a sudden get a very new tonality of it and get a new flavor for songwriting and soloing. So let's check them out. Let's take a look at the Dorian scale, specifically the D Dorian scale. It sounds like this. Now the Dorian scale is a type of minor scale. The reason is the third note is a minor third away from the D. If it was one half step higher, it would be a major scale. So the notes in this scale are the exact same notes as the A minor scale or its relative major, C major, just in a different order. So in other words, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. But we're going to start on the D note. So if I played the A minor scale and I played A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, we're going to be following that same pattern, except we're going to start here on the D note, which is the 5th fret of the A string. So we're going D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D. So that's the 5th, 7th, and 8th fret on the A string or 5th string. Then you're playing the 5th fret and the 7th fret on the 4th string. And then you're playing the 4th fret, 5th fret, and 7th fret on the G string. Now, so that sounds like this. Now, continuing up into the 2nd octave, you're going to play this. What I'm doing there is I'm starting on the 7th fret of the G string with the D. Then I'm playing the 5th, 6th, and 8th fret on the 2nd string. And then I'm playing the 5th, 7th, and 8th fret on the E string. And finally, the D on the 10th fret of that high E string. So the 2nd octave up and down sounds like this. So that's the first position I'd like to show you of D Dorian. Now I'd like to show you in one more position how to play that. Let's start here at the 10th fret on the low E string, and it's going to sound like this. So these are the exact same notes that I just showed you, just in a different position on the guitar neck. So let's take a look at what I'm doing here. I'm playing the 10th, 12th, and 13th fret on the low E string. Then I'm playing the 10th and 12th fret on the A string or 5th string. Then I'm playing 9, 10, 12 on the D string or 4th string. 9, 10, 12 on the G string. And then I'm playing 10, 12, 13 on the B string. And finally, the 10th fret or D on the top E string. So once again, let's just take it one octave at a time. So I've got when you get up to that 12th fret of that D string, that's the octave D. And then the 2nd octave would be and back down. So that's the D Dorian scale. It's a slightly different sound than the minor scale. Some people think that this scale has a bit of a Western sound to it. I've heard Metallica use this scale. I've heard Joe Satriani use it as well. The next scale I'm going to be showing you is the Phrygian scale, specifically E Phrygian. It contains the exact same notes that are in the C major and A minor scale, which are A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and A. The only difference is we'll be starting on the E note, and we'll be playing E to E. So it sounds like this. Some people say the Phrygian scale has a Egyptian sound to it. It's used a lot in metal. So let's run through the first octave of the E Phrygian scale. You're going to start with your ring finger on the 7th fret of the A string, and then the pinky on the 8th fret. So we've got, and then we're moving to the 5th fret and the 7th fret on the D string, the 4th fret, 5th fret, and 7th fret on the G string, and finally the 5th fret on the B string. So together it sounds like this. And back down. So now let's learn the second octave, which sounds like this. So what I'm doing there is I'm starting on the 5th fret of the B string, and I'm playing 5, 6, 8, and then I'm playing 5, 7, 8 on the high E string, and I'm doing a position shift, and I'm playing the 10th fret and 12th fret on the high E string, and then back down. So let's learn that exact same scale in another position. Let's learn it at the 12th position on the low E string. That's going to sound like this. So what I'm doing there is I'm playing the 12th, 13th, and 15th fret on the low E string, the 12th, 14th, and 15th fret on the A string, and the 12th and 14th fret on the D string. So you've got, and then the second octave would be this. So what I'm doing there is I'm playing the 14th fret on the D string, and then the 15th fret on the D string, the 12th fret and the 14th fret on the G string or 3rd string, the 12th, 13th, and 15th fret on the B string, and then the 12th fret on the high E string. So 2 octaves up and down sounds like this. Now if you take that same scale and play it down an octave, you'd have this. So what I'm playing there is open, 1, 3, and then open again on the A to 2, 3, and then finally open on the D string and the 2nd fret on the D string. So the reason I'm showing you this is if you play those notes with chords, you can get some good songwriting ideas. So if we played E, an E power chord, and then F power chord, and a G power chord, and then an A power chord, and then a B power chord, a C power chord, And finally, a D power chord and an E octave power chord. You get some good ideas, particularly going between that low E and that F that's a fret away. Has a very metal sound to it. So if you're going has a very dark metal tonality to it, which is the reason you hear a lot of Phrygian songs in metal. This guitar is tuned to drop C sharp, which means the whole guitar is tuned to E flat, which means every string is tuned a half step down, and the low string is tuned down 1.5 steps to C sharp. Let me play through each string so that you can tune to me. That's your high E flat. That's your second string. That's your third string, which is G, now G flat. That's your fourth string, which is now C sharp. That's your fifth string, which is now A flat. And then the last string is tuned to C sharp. In this next section, we're going to cover a few songs that I wrote specifically for this DVD. So let's check them out. This song has 5 sections. Section 3 has an overdub, which I'll also show you. Here's section 1. So I'm playing the same phrase 4 times over. What I'm doing is I'm hitting 2 palm muted chunks on the low E string. And then between each of the 2 chunks, I'm playing this pattern on the A string. I'm playing the 8th fret, 7th fret, 10th fret, 8th fret, and finally I'm doing a pick harmonic on the 7th fret. And I'm getting it right between the 2 pickups. So you've got this. So together, slowly, sounds like this. And then more up to speed. This is section 2. So what I'm doing here is I'm doing chunks on the bottom 3 open strings with them muted. So that sounds like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then the 6th note, I'm playing the 8th fret of the A string. And then I repeat the pattern with the chunks, and then I do the 7th fret. So I'm going. So up to speed. And I'm putting some vibrato on the 8th fret and 7th fret notes. Here's part 3. is I'm playing 3 power chords. I'm playing an F at the 8th fret on the A string. That's Then I'm playing a B at the 9th fret of the D string. And then an A sharp at the 8th fret of the D string. So that's 8, 10, 11 is the fingering there. And what I'm doing is I'm doing a 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 pulse. So on the first chord, it's this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then you're switching chords and you're going 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Half as long on that chord. And then to the last chord. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. On the third part, there's an overdub that sounds like this. So what I'm doing there is I'm playing the 10th fret on the B string and the 10th fret on the G string. I'm borrowing those two. And I'm playing them one after the other twice. So I'm going. And then I'm going to the 17th fret on the B string, and I'm bending that with some vibrato. And then to the 16th fret on the B string, again with vibrato. So together you have. This is section 4. So what I'm doing is I'm playing 4 parts of 4 notes apiece. So it starts off with the bottom 3 open strings, and I'm not muting those. I'm just playing them open. I'm going 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then I'm moving to the 12th fret on the A string, and I'm playing an octave chord. In other words, I'm playing the 12th fret on the A and the 14th fret on the G string, and I'm using the underside of my index finger to mute the D string, so you get an octave chord, which we covered on an earlier DVD. So I'm playing 4 of those A octaves. Then I'm moving to A sharp, playing 4 of those at the 13th fret. That's on the A string. And then I'm playing the 10th fret, the G octave on the A string as well. So together, slowly, sounds like this. And then more up to speed. Notice all with up and down or alternate picking. This is section 5. So I'm playing that same phrase 4 times. On the recording, you're going to hear it a total of 12 times. So in other words, the section I just played 3 times. What I'm doing is I'm playing the bottom 2 strings open, and I'm palm muting them, and I'm playing 5 notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. More up to speed. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then finally, I'm ending on the bottom 2 strings, open, palm muted, just a single pick. So. This song has 5 sections with an additional overdub on 1 section. Here's section 1. playing two different phrases. Here's the first phrase. I'm starting with the low open E. Then I'm playing the 8th fret on the D string or 4th string, the 7th fret on the 4th string, then I'm moving to the 8th fret on the A string, the 10th fret on the A string, the 7th fret on the A string, the 8th fret on the A string, and the 10th fret on the low E. So that phrase slowly sounds like this. So the second phrase is going to be the exact same, except I'm going to stop on the 10th fret and sustain that note. That sounds like this. So together, up to speed, both sections. This is section 2. So what I'm doing here is I'm playing two different notes. One is the bottom 2 strings open and palm muted. And then the other one is the 6th fret, and I'm barring that on the bottom 2 strings. So we've got a 1-finger power chord. So I'm starting off with 2 chunks on the 2 low strings. So we've got, then I'm playing 2 sets of 3 chunks. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So thus far we've got this. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And then we're ending the phrase with 1, 2, 3. So that's 2 chunks on the low strings, and then the 6th fret barred on the bottom 2 strings for the 3rd note. So we got. So all together, slowly sounds like this. Then I'll count through it. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And then more up to speed. So it's all palm muted. All the low strings, when they're open, are palm muted, except for that last 6th fret is open. This is section 3. I've kicked on a Boss DS1 distortion pedal to help the harmonics jump out even more. Sounds like this. So what I'm doing here is I'm starting off on the low E string, and then I'm playing a series of hammer-ons and pull-offs from the 5th fret to the 6th fret to the 5th fret, and then pulling to the open A string. So this is all in the A string. 5, 6, 5, open, with hammer-ons and pull-offs. So you've got. And then I'm playing the 3rd fret on the low E to the 5th fret on the low E. So you've got. So thus far, slowly, it sounds like this. Then I'm repeating that phrase 3 times. The only difference is, between the phrases, I'm adding an extra chunk as a pickup note. Sounds like this. And then finally, I'm hitting the low E string and sustaining it and playing a harmonic. I'm playing the 5th fret on the A string, and I'm playing a harmonic, pick harmonic, in between the two pickups. So we've got... So the whole thing slowly sounds like this. And more up to speed. This is section 4. So what I'm doing here is I'm playing 3 notes. I'm playing the bottom 2 strings open, sustaining those, and then I'm playing the 6th fret bottom 2 strings barred and the 5th fret bottom 2 strings barred. And it's a 1, 2, 3 pattern. So it's 1, 1, 1, finally playing the bottom 2 strings open sustained. So together, slowly, sounds like this. This is section 5. So what I'm doing there is I'm playing 3 power chords. A G sharp, a G, and an F, all on the 4th string, or the D string. And the shape of that is the 6th fret on the 4th string, the 8th fret on the G string, or 3rd string, and the 9th fret on the 2nd string. So what I'm doing is I'm playing that chord, and then I'm moving it down a fret with the same shape. And then I'm moving it down 2 frets, exact same shape. So that's going 1, 2, 3. So we've got... So you're going to play that sequence 8 times. There's also an additional overdub on this section, which sounds like this. What I'm doing there is I'm playing double stop bends with some pretty heavy vibrato. I'm starting off with my 9th fret on the 2nd string and the 11th fret bent on the 3rd string. So you've got... Then I'm playing the 8th fret on the 2nd string, moving down my 3rd string fretting the exact same way, 1 fret. So, and then finally down 2 frets to the 6th fret on the 2nd string. Then I'm going to move that exact same pattern up to the 12th fret on the 2nd string, the 11th fret on the 2nd string, and then the 9th fret on the 2nd string. So altogether, it sounds like this. Here's how I end the song. So all I'm doing there is I'm playing the bottom 2 strings open with palm muting, and I'm going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's all up and down picking. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, that brings volume 3 to a close. I hope you've learned a lot and enjoyed this DVD. In future volumes, we'll cover gigging, getting that sound you've been looking for, songwriting, playing the guitar, of course, and a whole lot more. So until then, see you next time.